So, I've been wanting to make a video series documenting cool stuff about modding Super Mario Sunshine for a while now, ever since I basically started Super Mario Sunshine Co-op. And with Super Mario Sunset soon to be released... Wait, what? What do you mean it's already released? I was told in July! What do you mean it's July already? What the heck happened with the time? Oh shit, well, just put on the video already. Welcome to the sun-drenched tropical paradise of Al Delfino. We're so pleased to welcome you to our beautiful home. Come enjoy our natural wonderland to which we've added the world's finest jank, spectacular shady collision, and succulent blue coins. All this and more awaits you on Al Delfino. Come get angry and lose your body and spirit. Yeah, that's pretty much sums up Super Mario Sunshine. It has its flaws, but due to its rushed development cycle, it has so much leftover stuff in the code that makes it a super interesting mod to game. This is why I want to make a devlog about modding Super Mario Sunshine. There are tons of things I would love to add and change to the game, like adding a coach co-op mode, randomizer, new nozzles, a costume system, custom bosses, shaders, but let's not get ahead of ourselves. The first thing I want to make is the block. It's not just any block, it's the letter block. The reason we need this is we're going to use it for something special in our upcoming released mod Super Mario Sunset that we in Team Elements are developing. And to catch you up to speed,
the idea is simple.
What if Super Mario Sunshine was created at the magical sunset instead? And brother, is it beautiful. I will drop a link to the Elements YouTube if you're interested in seeing more of Sunset. So, what's so special about this block? Well, I want you to be able to jump into it and break it. I also want to slap on a texture of a letter on it so you can make up words. And that's about it. Sounds simple. So let's get started. In Super Mario Sunshine, we don't have a complete decompilation of the game yet. And what is a decompilation? Well, it's code that essentially compiles to the exact same binary that the game originally shipped. This means that we have to manually reverse engineer the code straight from the binary. Luckily, Sunshine has a symbol map. And in short, a symbol map is essentially a map of all the functions in the assembly, making it much easier to traverse the binary. With the assembly and the symbol map, it basically allows us to boot up Ghidra, smack in the symbol map, and get back an overwhelming amount of information. Luckily, I've been in this mess before, and I somewhat understand where we should start. We should start right here in T-brick block. So, where do we even start in this jumbled, incoherent mess of code? Well, luckily, we do have a partial decompilation. Sadly, that decompilation does not contain the code we're interested in, so we still have to do that manually. And how do we do that? Well, decompiling is essentially creating code that would compile into the exact same bytecode that the original binary had. This is in many ways similar to Sudoku, except that it's not at all similar to Sudoku, but bear with me for a moment. In Sudoku, you know that there's just a single solution to the problem, and you already have the answer in front of you, just need to fill in the numbers. And decompilation is in many ways similar, because you know what you want to achieve, you just have to find the code that actually does this. And to do that, we need to look at this semi-gibberish code from Ghidra, combine it with knowledge about how the compiler works and all of its bugs and quirks. At the same time, we need to construct code thinking like a developer in Nintendo at around 2001, rushing this game out. At least that's what you would do if you're a big brain who could think 10 steps ahead. But for me, it's just trial and error until something sticks. Luckily, we have a tool called Objective, which allows you to see a before and after of your code and the expected code, which makes it super easy to trial and error until something sticks. And once you get into it, it's super addicting. It essentially becomes this incremental game where you write code and you see this number go up, and at some point you have a fully decompiled game. Anyways, enough yapping and let's start doing. I'm gonna start decompiling this and I will pause the video if I find anything interesting to talk about. So see you in a bit. I just finished decompiling the first function, and this is for the T-breakable block. As you can see, when Mario hip attacks, which basically is a ground pound, it should rumble the controller a bit and then kill the object. In game, this is actually the wooden box that you break in the box game. Anyway, I just wanted to show you the first function time to get back into the coding part. And we're done. So I have decompiled all the functions in map_object_block. There are multiple blocks in this TU, not just the breakable block and the brick block. And as you can see here in object edit, most of them are at 100%. We have some that's at 99%, usually because of some stack padding. And then we have some functions like this, which have floating pointers in not the correct order. But I'm fairly confident that this code is close enough to what is happening in game at least. So here is the function we looked at earlier, and as you can see there's quite a few more below it. One of them is sand, which is the sand blocking game. When you stand on it, it starts dissipating and then it waits for a while and then it restores itself. As we can see here in the control, that's pretty much the same. And then it has some particles. Then you have the lean block. You have ice block, which is the same we see in game, where you can spray it and then it dissipates. And we have the brick block, which is the one we're interested in. And as we can see here in the receive message, if it's this actor, which is Mario, and he does a head attack, it will kill the block, which is exactly what we see in game. And then we also have this second one, which looks odd, but this is actually the boss in Noki 2, the Gooper Blooper, because below him there's a brick that gets destroyed when Blooper is dead. And then we have brick block, more of brick block, the particles. These particles are actually the ones you see, that the pieces of the brick that breaks apart. Then you have juice block, which is the block that appears when you spray enemies with Yoshi's juice. Then you have the Telesa block, which is the block that appears when you spray the pink boost in Serena 2, I think. And then we have the super hip drop block, which is the block you see on top of the lighthouse in Delfino Plaza. And as you can see here, there's a special check here for a flag and for a string. And if you translate this string, it basically says Monte entry, which means the entry to Pianta. In older footage of the games from the beta, we can see that there actually is a block on top of the pipe in Pianta, but this was removed before the game was released, which is very interesting. But other than that, there's not too much interesting, it's just blocks after all. So let's get on and actually implement the block in game. Before we can actually implement anything in game, we need an actual model to show. I'm not that good at modeling, but luckily Master Mario, a fellow Elements team member, has made this model that we can use in game. Here you can see the letter A is already on the cube, so we don't really need a texture even, since it's just model inside the cube. So I ended up becoming a bit pressured for time. I really wanted to show everything as I made it, but Sunset is already released, spoiler. So let's just go through what I did end up doing. As you can see here, this is pretty much the same code. I just copy pasted it from the decomp and worked from there. The only difference is I made the texture block, which I did some implementation that overrides the brick block. And if we go to the class file to see what I actually did, and in short, basically the only change I made is that instead of loading a single model for all of the objects, each model can specify which model it wants to load. The reason we do this is because Super Mario Sunshine does instancing of its models, so if we just had the one model and tried to change parts of it, it would affect every instance of the object because they were all essentially using the same model under the hood. The other change I made is that I request a special kind of shadow that's like a square shadow instead of a circle shadow that you see most in Super Mario Sunshine. And other than that, I didn't really do anything. If we head over to the main class file where we initialize our module, we see that BetterSunshineEngine essentially just gives us a super easy way to register this block. And when we instantiate, we just create a new one, and then the block data specifies how it works in game. So like how collision will work, if it has any animation and anything like that. And this is essentially just copied straight from the decompilation. So it's pretty simple to set up, and let's see a bit on the results. So, big spoiler, the big reason we wanted to make this block was so we could make an interactive credit section. This way we could spell out the names of the creators and you could go around and break the blocks. And the feel would be very similar to Mario Galaxy's ending or credits. And if you stayed this long, thank you so much for watching the entire video. This is my first video and I've been wanting to make one for a long time, but I've always restricted myself thinking that this wasn't interesting enough or anything like that. The video didn't turn out the way I wanted because I kind of had to rush it because I wanted it out before ESA, which I'm going to in tomorrow. And I kind of wanted to finish up this project and actually get it out there. I really hope to continue doing this and showing more interesting things than just blocks. As I showed in the beginning, I've made a randomizer, a co-op mod, and we're working on a full-fledged new mod called Elements. I still have no idea what I'm doing. This whole YouTube thing and video editing thing is completely new to me. I hope to learn a lot as I go. So if you're interested, please subscribe, and thank you for watching. See you next time.